Welcome to Lift Your Story podcast with guest Anthony Rogers, comedian. Hi, everyone. I am LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Toronto, Canada, and I'm with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to our Lift Your Story podcast.
In this episode, we welcome Anthony Rogers, and he is a comedian. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Great show. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you're a comedian, Netflix and Amazon, right?
Yeah. I don't have my comedy on Netflix or Amazon yet, but I'm in a couple movies on there, and I'm in Rampage Present Down on Netflix, and I'm on in Psycho Ape on Amazon, and yeah, I trying to figure out what it is to be a comedian again with all these weird rules,
Well, so have you performed in comedy clubs?
Yeah, and I like bars the best. I tend to book bars across the United States, like whenever I do it. But yeah, no, I've done comedy clubs too, for sure.
What has COVID done to you?
Oh man, it's made me fat.
Well, what was it, Mark Breslin?
Yeah, from Yuck Yucks, the CEO from Yuck Yucks. We had him on, and Adam Grove too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And he said that they were trying to do like a drive-in movie comedy, and he said it's just not the same when you're not there with the audience.
Yeah, that was a rough year for sure. For comedy, I imagine. I doubled down on podcasts though. Like during that time, I was like, I'll just do a bunch of podcasts, and try my hand at what you guys do.
Yeah. And how did that go with the podcast? I mean, was there any? Did you have it as teams, or was it a one-on-one? Because I know that some communities have tried to do it where there is a group of people, because you're still seeing their face at least, because it is that interaction. And I mean, even us, although this is a podcast, we love to have the people so we can see. And it's really hard when the people say we're just going to do audio, and Roy and I are looking at each other going, we don't like that because we like to see expressions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's I've done a little bit of everything. It started as like a radio show. It was a afternoon show on the station called The Edge, and then it went to a morning show, and then we went to we made fun of a lot of people like that had shows, and they got kind of mad. So we had to go our own way and like kind of did a podcast kind of thing. And then so the first week it was just me, and then the second week, till about a couple of years ago, my buddy Bruce produced it, and then we used to have that in studio thing with a bunch of people, and then it went to these kind of Zoom calls we're having right now. That's what I'm doing right now too. That's where it's at. That's where the game's at now. It's just me pretty much. I mean, I have plans for a panel and to expand and stuff, and just kind of figuring it out,
Yeah. What? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for our listeners, tell us, what kind of comedy do you do? Because obviously there's different genres. I bet you anything that was what you're gonna ask, right, Roy?
Yeah.
We're getting too close now.
That's funny. You guys are on point with each other. It's cool to see. No, it depends, man. I'll do like I like George Carlin a lot, like Bill Hicks, like comedians like that, I guess. Like so that'd be kind of like my style. It's like I guess satire on current events and satire on like whatever is going on, and like sometimes kind of a brutal way, sometimes kind of just a funny, honest way. It just depends on the crowd, the mood, everything like that.
Yeah. So basically you kind of feed off of your crowd, right?
Yeah, it's just like this. It's like having a conversation. It's like the same thing, just with more people in the crowd.
Yeah. Well, I noticed.
That would be tough. Trying to read your audience is not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. For a lot of people, I was good. I don't know. I didn't really do anything with my life for a while, so I was like just hanging out with people and partying and stuff. In my 20s, so it kind of came natural. But like I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Not everybody could do that probably. I just had a lot of downtime, to hang out with people and stuff.
Well, Russell Peters, I don't guess you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
He all his is audience interaction. He does like stage shows. With the audience, he gets all them. He's always poking fun at these guys, at their accents or their hair or their clothes or whatever. And I know that he does real well at that. I think that might be hard to do.
Oh no, it's easy to make fun of people. It's not. I don't know, it's harder to like jump out of it and evolve and like become more complex. I think it's harder to like to have like I don't know like like, I think like a George Hicks or I'm sorry, Bill Hicks or a George Carlin things like harder because you have to be like intelligent also. Like you have to read your crowd and then like leave them like smarter almost, you know?
Yeah.
I think both are awesome. I like all kinds of comedy though. I mean, I like everything to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like George Carlin, a friend of mine sent me one, and he talked about how, women and this whole thing, it could have been taken as offensive, but it was totally the opposite. We are, you listen to that, you go, yeah, you're so right, and it's
Mhm.
funny all the way through it. I just find that phenomenal that you could take something and you might be making fun of somebody, but you're not making fun of somebody.
yeah, and even if it's,
That's
I
a
mean,
skill.
even if you're making fun of somebody, if it's funny, they accept it. You know, if you're just
Yeah.
being mean, if it's just mean spirited for no reason. I mean, they're just like, oh, I don't really like this guy, or maybe he's in a bad mood, or maybe needs some food or something. You know, but like, it's, but like, no, it's like some people enjoy being roasted and they like being talked about in a crowd situation. It seems like like people dig it right now. I don't know how, but yeah, no, Carlin's probably one of the best though, in my opinion. Like he's just like a philosopher that knew when to be shocking, when to be not serious, when to the whole thing. You know.
Absolutely.
He was very perceptive.
That was probably one of my favorite. He just, yeah, he's like a philosopher or something, you know, a philosopher that dabbled in comedy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you got a favorite comedian that you kind of follow?
Today, like,
Yeah.
my friends really. I mean, I got a lot of funny friends that like started doing comedy shows, like they're getting really good. I mean, we were doing we did 2 shows last week with a bunch of new comedians that just started doing comedy. They were killing me, honestly. Like, but I didn't. But I think comedy right now is kind of watered down. Like, he's like Dave Chappelle's kind of like he's good, but he's like probably the top comedian. But he's just like talking about how he used to be funny and like how he used to be famous. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's like the return of the hero. He comes back and tells you about like what everything. You know, like there's no like wild new energy right now on TV or Netflix or anything like that. I feel like, I think a lot of my friends are those people, but I think like we'll see where that goes. You know.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of doing a group comedy? Like, I mean, you say you've got friends, because I mean, I know there was, I can't remember the name. It's really bothering me because I think their comedy's hilarious. The Roadshow, like there's the 4 guys.
Yeah, I kind of want to do some stuff like that.
Oh.
Like that's actually what we're kind of prepping for. Is I'm building my
Blue
wife and I are
collar.
building blue collar. Yeah, they do that. Yeah,
That's
that's the one of the most successful ones. Yeah, but no, like yeah, I'm building a bus and turning it into an RV, and then so I'll have the vehicle, and then like I'm getting a lot of my friends have been a lot of my funny friends have been getting into comedy. So I mean, I may try to do something like that. Honestly, like once the world opens up a little bit and try to figure out some more stuff. Like wherever the world's going.
That'd be fun. Because that is like the dynamics between more than one person is actually quite fun to watch. I mean, not to say
I think so too.
they're good, but it's actually more fun in a sense for me anyway. Yeah.
No, it's yeah, all kinds of comedy is great. Yeah, no, I love that kind too.
So if you were doing quote something similar to blue comedy, what would be your theme?
Oh, that's a great question. I never even thought of that, man.
I mean,
That's like those guys are just good salesmen. I never even thought about having a theme or anything. Yeah, no, those guys are on point. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
yeah. I mean, I didn't know like what your friends kind of what they were like. And you're like, well, we're all this or we're all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Like we're all construction workers, or we're all, we all worked at the coffee shop or whatever.
Well, I'd say the nicest way of saying, I'd say we're all like Republican attention whores. Like that's what it seems like. Like like we're like one of my buddies has a podcast. The other one's like head of like this like fraternity kind of thing, like this male fraternity kind of thing. And then like so there's just like I mean they're all just kind of like loud kind of like people with like good American values, I'd say honestly, but can be funny though too on top of it. Not just tied up in it.
The male bonding tour.
Yeah, the male bonding tour. You might have that packaged, honestly, man. It's not. You might be making me a millionaire with one of these ideas, like.
LaurieAnn's going.
No, I know, because I know I've got this. I'm kind of like, wouldn't call myself a feminist, but I have that in me where there's all like the boys club, the bros. And I'm going, come on, like some of us women have had to learn to be bros, man. Like in this world now. I mean, I worked in the automotive industry. You couldn't afford not to be.
But you have the sisterhood of the pants, and we don't have that.
Yeah, I've never been involved with that one though. So I was going to ask a question. Now I just moved on. So do you write your own, obviously you must write your own comedy. How often do you write it? How do you, because we were talking about that, Roy was bringing that up the other day, is that somebody writes, what was it? One
Jerry,
joke.
somebody asked Jerry Seinfeld, you know, how
Yeah.
he became successful. He said, I wrote one joke a day, every day. That's what you have to do to be successful in comedy.
That's crazy. I steal one joke a day. Like I just take other people's jokes and use. No, I'm just joking. I feel like, what if that was like true and I'm just admitting it? I'm like, no, I skip all the hard work and I just take everyone else's ideas and say it's mine. But no, I think I just work all the time. I have like a podcast. I'm constantly talking to people, and I'm on a bunch of I'm constantly. I don't know. It just comes with you. You know, you're like talking to your friend. You're going for a walk with your friend. You come up with something funny, and if it's you put it in your phone, you know, I don't know, or whatever. But I write all this stuff and I never use it. Like I'll just like come up with all these jokes and then like I just do whatever I want whenever I go up there. Like I'm like prepared for like 7 sets or something, but I'll just like talk about whatever I want for like however long they let me.
Yeah, I know. There's a comedian named Henry Cho, and I think he lives in Tennessee or somewhere. I mean, he's, you know, you wouldn't think. Anyway, he has a, like his brother-in-law lives like in Arkansas or somewhere, and he says, "Oh yeah, the family reunions. I walk around with a tablet pen." What was that again? What'd you say? That's how I get my material from all the family gatherings.
No, that's a great idea. That'd probably be better than anything I've ever. You know, yeah. No, my family's way funnier than I am, probably.
You know,
That's what makes it great. You can be the comedian about your family.
Yeah, and they're the actual funny ones. They just don't have the ego, I guess. It's the only difference.
you know, and they'll be saying, "Don't you dare say this in public. Don't you dare put this in your act."
Yeah, I know, you hear that a lot too. Or you'll hear people be like they'll say something funny, you'll laugh and like, yeah, you could use that if you want. Like they'll just like tell me I could use it. I'm like, oh well, thanks.
You have my permission. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I actually often wondered about that because there's a lot of comedians who take a lot of their not so great things in life and turn it into comedy, and you laugh about it, and you really do, because you can relate to it, but it's said in such a funny way, and it kind of relieves that tension of, oh yeah, I get that, and then you start laughing. But they talk about their families. Like, is there some sort, like, what is the, you know, defamation of character rules in comedy is what I keep asking myself.
Well, we have free speech and free press right now, so we're lucky for the moment being. You know, we can get away with saying literally whatever, you know, at this point. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that does bring an interesting angle to comedy, though. Like thinking about that, like I'm gonna get sued by my grandma for something, like, you know.
Right.
Like,
because I know it's in literary. You can't write, even if you're writing a comedy book, if it's written down, you can have issues about, you know, the people in there, and they say, well, it sounds too much like me.
You're about to make a lot of lawyers rich. If any lawyers
Right.
watch this, you're about to make them super rich. Like, you're right, but I wish you weren't, you know. It's such a great point, though. No, I think you're right. No, I think you're right. Yeah, no, it's an interesting angle, like, for it.
Like for years, it's never, I mean, I've never heard, I know that it was sad. There was one guy that was supposed to be a guest host. He was chosen, and then they find out, like, you know, I don't know, 20 years ago, he did some comedy that was like, he said something inappropriate. And I'm going, 20 years ago, we were allowed to.
Yeah, I think we're still allowed to. Like, whenever people bring it up, I'm like, yeah, I said something messed up like last night, probably. You know, it's like who cares? You know, it's like it's just like we still have free speech, and like, I don't know, in America at least, supposedly. I was told that as a kid at least. I don't know. I don't know where it exists, but I heard it's there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of political correctness in comedy nowadays.
Oh yeah, you just got to go out there and apologize. You're like, I'm sorry for what I ever said, what anyone you know ever said, what the president ever said, what, I don't know, your boss ever said. You know, you're like, what? I don't know. You got to, yeah, that's what they think you have to do. But like the real good comedians are still doing what they want. They're just being censored. You know what I mean? They kicked off Twitter, kicked off all these apps and stuff. I mean, there's still hilarious people out there. I mean, like I watched a bunch of them last week. You know, like twice, like on Wednesday and Saturday. There's a lot of people that are funny. You know, it's like, but yeah, no, it's just. I think a lot of people think you have to do that. They think you have to, but you don't get very far being an authentic, being a coward, you know? You only get surface level, and like maybe you got one good thing going for you and you're just like, oh, I better just, but I mean, you're gonna get passed up by the innovators. You're gonna get passed up by the people who got banned a million times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, since you play in bars a lot, I guess you don't have the same issue. I mean, like owner says, okay, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about this.
Yeah, only Twitter's been like that with me. I lost my verified Twitter. They took it, but yeah, no, in person, nobody cares. I mean, I just say messed up jokes and people laugh. You know, people get that they're jokes and you're not being serious. So I mean, like, it's gone on so far. I mean, when I was younger, I get banned all the time. Before you make somewhat of a name or something, you know, I'm still in the process of climbing. I'm climbing uphill still, but whenever you make, I'm further than I was a couple years ago. But so they banned me on just some joke or something I said on Facebook. They'd be like, "Oh, you said some joke on Facebook," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." You know, like I'm supposed to. I never apologize for any of that stuff unless I truthfully feel I'm wrong or something. If I like did something I felt was wrong, I'd do it. But I don't think words are wrong. I don't think jokes are wrong.
No, I don't think so either. And are you on TikTok? I know this is a big thing. I bring this up all the time, but we're now on TikTok with, and I'm surprised, like there's really good interaction there. And there's some funny people. Have you moved on to that? Because I know you're talking Twitter, but what's your main platform?
Probably Instagram and TikTok right now. Like I have a Facebook that I use to talk to people I went to high school with and people that are my friends, basically. Like I don't really use Facebook much. I kind of dabble in marketing there, but it's not my main thing. But yeah, I'd say Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that now. The apps that allow me to use them still.
I've been enjoying TikTok. I mean, some people, my mother was saying, "Oh, there's this horrible thing on TikTok." I go, "Well, it's what you choose. I don't choose the horrible things. I choose the funny things. That's what I want to see at the beginning of my day and at the end of the day. I want comedy. I think that it really helps, and that's, you know, I think health-wise, it's great for people to laugh. So I'm glad that you're out there helping other people do that. It's like,
what? And didn't you say in the statistics there's a lot of us senior citizens on TikTok?
There are more and more. We have like, yeah, there's a few like 80-year-olds that go do dancing on there. And there's like grandma, and she just hit 5 million. Her grandson ran over and said, "Ma, grandma." He goes, "You've got 5 million grandchildren now."
How old are you two, if that's not rude? I didn't realize you're senior citizen. How old are you guys?
I'm 70.
Oh, okay.
I'm almost a senior, but I'm not yet. Apparently in Canada it's 65 and I'm turning 59 on Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys seem a lot younger. That's why okay. I didn't realize you guys. Okay, that's not senior. Well, you're a senior citizen, but yeah, she's not.
I'm not yet. I'm getting there. We all get
70.
there.
No, I didn't realize you were 70. That's crazy. Yeah, no, I figured, but no, that's crazy. You get a lot of experience. That's how life goes, right? You have all the wisdom now. You have all the wisdom I'm chasing, right? Huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
see, that's what you do is you hang out with people like that, so you don't have to chase it, and it gets to you quicker, right?
Yeah.
Just a fun fact too. There was one young girl, poor thing. I guess she was doing a TikTok, and she said that women in their 50s are old, and I guess a whole bunch of women took offense to it. And I said, "But why? We are in a sense." But then so I said, "But just make sure young people know that you're going to get here too. Like you're not disqualified from getting older unless God takes you away." So
yeah, it's a privilege. It's a privilege.
It is.
But even be born, you know.
Well, I mean,
to take offense is ridiculous too. I mean, I'm gonna be 59. I'm almost 60. I'm not a little young chicken anymore. So like, hey, okay.
But being 50 years old, because you are 50 years old, but you don't feel like you're 50 years old. That's the difference. So I mean, I'm 70, but I don't feel like I'm what I thought feeling when I was a kid or in my 20s. I had this view of being 65, not being able to do anything and all this stuff, and I'm not there. So
walking with a cane, sitting down, reading books.
When I was young, I mean, if people lived till 60, 65, they were old.
Yeah.
If you saw somebody was 70 years old, you're like, "Oh my God, they're ancient." Now people living into their mid 80s and mid 90s.
Yeah. No, I think that at like 35 already, I forget I'm 35. I still feel like I'm like 16 or something, Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm old," Like I'll just like forget because you feel like the same person no matter what age. I feel like, and I still feel the same I did as a kid almost. It's weird.
Yeah, well, don't worry. When you get to be 40, that'll change.
I felt really young at 40. I felt really awesome at 40. My mother said she's 86 and she was walking up the steps and she goes, "Dang," she goes, "I keep thinking that I'm in my 30s until I start walking up the stairs and start getting tired." And she's like that. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're just the
so it's
same
all,
person. You just age. It's crazy. Yeah, everybody thinks you're such like a voodoo. I mean, you do have like benefits of being on the earth longer. I mean, you have more it depends on how you use your time too, you know. But it was
yes.
yeah. There's a lot of people just watch cat videos for fucking 10 years. It looks like, you know. Oh, sorry. You can't cuss.
Well,
You can cuss on
you
earth.
know, well, I'll tell you one thing though, because you're coming up to 40, but I will tell you this: when you turn 40, you blink your eyes and you're 60, and you
Yeah,
wonder what happened.
that's
That's
true.
crazy.
That's no joke. I mean, it's just like boom,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah,
That's
because
crazy.
I remember turning 40, and that was the year I divorced, and I'm sitting there turning around, I'm going, oh my God, that was like, holy crap, 18 years ago, 19 soon.
Yeah.
So
So it goes faster at 40, you think? Like time does, or what the day does, or what?
As every year you get older, time goes faster.
I've definitely noticed that to a degree, like the feeling of that. Is it because of why do you think that is? That's interesting.
Well, I mean, I think it's just, well, like when you're young, you're starting your career, you're starting your family and all that. When you get up into your 40s plus, you're starting your careers settled. Matter of fact, you're probably tired of it. You're thinking about retirement. Of course, you're thinking about death. And it seems like it just goes faster and faster and faster and faster. It's almost like you can stand in front of a calendar and just watch the pages rip off.
That's
in a
crazy to think
sense,
about.
you think about this, I don't know if it's like this with you guys, but I know that when I'm going, let's say I'm going to visit my parents at the cottage, it feels a lot longer to get to the cottage than when I'm coming home. It seems a lot faster. And yet it's the same distance, it's the same time. And I
That
guess
is relative.
that's part of the thing, right? You get to a certain point and then we're going home. I mean, we're all going home at some point, wherever that is, whether whatever people believe in or not, but we're all going to die and we're heading that way. We're heading home.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's a great.
it feels
That's a,
faster. Yeah.
wow, that's so relative. It's like, yeah, I know vacations always like that. Yeah, it always takes forever to get there, and then in fact, that's so relative. I never even thought of that in that terminology. That's genius, actually. Like, I like how you package that. That makes a lot more sense. Like,
Yeah. It's weird. But no, great. And just need to ask this. Do you have a favorite joke?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. Like at this point, I think I did when I was younger. Probably, I was like, this is the joke that just kills. But now I don't know if I'm delusional or confident enough where I just think I can just go out there and then like do it no matter what. Now it's like, what I mean? Like I feel like it depends on the night. Like there's like some certain nights there's a killer joke that I like. I mean, it just depends on, I don't know. So no, I don't think I have a favorite joke right now.
My biggest problem is I will hear a joke and think it's awesome and wonderful. I forget it whenever I want to tell it. It's like, or I forget the punchline.
Yeah.
It's funny when you're a kid, 1,000 jokes. Now then somebody tell you a joke and 5 minutes later, you cannot remember to save your life. And I can remember my wife used to come home and try to say, oh, I heard this joke at work. I said, okay. She'd start telling it and she'd go, well, anyway, but at the end it says this. Oh, well, okay, but I need the middle for it to be funny.
That's true.
Do you script your comedy, or is it pretty much just on the fly?
See, I do script it, but I never use the script. Like it's weird. Like I'll freak out. Like say I have a big show like tomorrow or something. I'd be like freaking out the whole time, like writing ideas. Like, oh, what about this intro, this outro? These jokes can go here. And I plan it all out, and I don't do any of it really. Like it's weird. I like nervously prepare for things that I never even do. It's like it's weird. I forget. It's like I don't know. The first time you're jumping in a pool, you forget you could swim or something. It's like just one of those things. Like that's almost what it feels like. You're just like oh, I better prepare for all these things, and like you're just like, oh yeah, I've done this a million times. Like yeah, it's like you go into like I don't know, you go into the zone. I love that adrenaline though. I love that. Yeah, I still get nervous and I love that too. Like I thought it would go away at some point, but it's only there for a short while now. It's like right before I go on or something, which I love that feeling though still. It's like, but it's like it's not like the first time you do it, you're like man, this is like public speaking is always kind of crazy, honestly. But then like when you like announce and you have to come out and you have to do all this stuff, like you're like, oh, like you're like a circus bear, And they're like, they're like, oh, you better perform circus bear, It's kind of like the first couple of times were fucking crazy, but it gets easier, It gets easier as it goes, And then like the nervousness is still there, but it makes you good if you're nervous, you know?
Yeah, so you're all prepared and you get off stage, you go, crap, I forgot this best joke. You know,
Yeah, that
I did this
happens.
one, and I didn't even do this one. That's the one I wanted to do the most.
Well, that happened Wednesday, and we just went back on again. Like we just started rotating. We asked the bar owner if we could just go again. Like that's the great thing about doing bars. It's more like whatever you want to do kind of thing. And like I call it like hard mode because like you can go to a comedy club and you could literally just take the room with confidence and no joke. You could basically just go up there, just like you're the only one with light on you. Everyone's in the dark. You just be like, oh, and like everybody's like, oh, that's hilarious. You just go, oh, you know. I feel like it's just easy mode to do comedy in a comedy club. But like bars, these people a lot. If you're like touring and stuff, and they haven't heard of you or anything, like they do not care that you're in the room at all talking to a microphone. You have to make them care. You have to like it's like I mean, and a lot of times people will know you like you and you're in these cities and stuff. But I'm saying like it's not like this. It's not like a comic club. They're all sitting one direction. They have 2 drinks. They're not allowed to talk. You know, everybody's just on their phone talking. You got to make them stop. You know, just without telling them that. But you got to like be interesting enough for them to stop and look up. You know.
That's true. I never even really thought of that because I don't go to bars much anymore.
That would be tough.
In comedy clubs, but the phone has become a problem. I've gone to restaurants and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at couples and they're sitting there on their phone, not talking to each other, going, really? Like, I don't know, it's a known fact, but and I'm saying, are you guys texting each other while you're sitting there? But for comedy, it would be that to get them off of that silly apparatus that people are stuck to these days.
Yeah, I think we all aim to be funny, more entertaining than the phone, right?
Yeah.
It's our aim even conversation, you know? You gotta get these people away from their, like, my friend calls it the phone freeze. They'll just like stare at their phone and not do anything. There's like he calls it the phone freeze.
Yeah, that's a good term.
At the same time, they're probably having a brain freeze too because they're not doing anything.
Yeah, it's just, they're just getting dopamine for no reason. Yeah, it's crazy. You used to have to earn that, huh?
So, Anthony, how can our listeners reach out to you?
Oh, they shouldn't.
Beware. You might be written into the script.
What, can they see your podcast somewhere?
Oh, yeah, you could search the Anthony Rogers Show on in most things, but you shouldn't listen to it. I have too many listeners. We're at cap, right? We just had capacity right now. We're at fire code.
Maxed out. Oh, that's funny.
That's great. So yes, I hear if you just Google Anthony Rogers, you will find him.
Oh yeah, or the Anthony Rogers Show. Yeah, perfect. God, I love your show, by the way. And I love the positivity you guys have. I want to bring that up. I think it's like an honor to be on the show, and I really appreciate it. Like,
oh, we're happy to have you.
Yes, and we appreciate that compliment. Really, it means a lot to us. We do this because we love to do it, and it's nice when we know that we're doing something worthwhile. Yeah.
You guys have great energy. I love the positivity. We need more of that in this world, I think, right now, especially. I think like like in the 90s, you got to be more like crazy and negative just to kind of like things go. Like we really need the positivity right now. I love you guys' energy. Like we need more of that like that. And I like what you got. Yeah, you mean? So good luck. I hope you guys keep killing it, man.
Yeah, we definitely need more of that for sure.
For sure. And yeah, so when you do end up, doing your roadshow, if you do end up with your group, please keep in contact with us. We'd love to have you back on. Maybe if you do have, a 3 or 4 group person, and it's called whatever Roy came up with. What was that? Guys bonding or something?
Oh, yeah.
The male bonding tour.
The bonding tour, the male bonding tour. Yeah.
Well, we'd love to feature you guys all together. That would be just a lot of fun. So if that does come about, please keep us in mind. It'd be great.
Well, if they're listening to this podcast, they're going to talk to you now. Like, I think I don't think you know what you get into by saying that. You're going to have like every comedian I know hit you guys up now.
That's perfect.
Well, thanks a lot for being our guest, Anthony. Yes. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you guys too. God bless you, and I hope you guys keep killing it. Like,
thank you. Take care.